Hey guys, welcome back to the H&H Sportstalk. I'm your host Hunter with my co-host,
Holbert.
and yeah, we're gonna talk about this past week's um, sports news that's happened, and all the stuff that's happened a little bit before the podcast, so either like Monday, Tuesday, and all that good stuff. And so we're just gonna jump on to some boxing news. So this past weekend, Oshaki Foster outpoints Ray Vargas in a one-sided fight to become the new WBC title holder at 130 pounds, and that's junior lightweight. Also on the card, we had former champion Mario Barrios on a two-fight losing streak, getting the TKO win in his hometown of San Antonio over Giovanni Santiago. And that was a pretty good fight for him. Both guys were coming off losses, so just getting them both that confidence fight, to get back into the ring. It was a pretty good fight overall for both of them until Mario Barrios got the win via TKO.
And the San Antonio boy,
Mm-hmm.
I did not
And
even know he was from San Antonio.
yeah, and so apparently he's also 6-0 when he played or when he's fought here in San Antonio. So I mean, say what you will, but I think that's pretty good because normally people get like the jitters when they fight back home.
Yeah.
Also, with some boxing news, we have Josh Taylor versus Teofimo Lopez is in the works for a summer fight for Taylor's WBO belt. Excuse me. He was undisputed in his weight class. However, Taylor had some little issues with injuries and stuff, and he just couldn't comply with all the organization's mandatory fights, and so he ended up just vacating all the belts one by one slowly. And he had three, then he went down to two, and then now he's just down to one. But I'm sure eventually he'll try to get all those belts back because it's against, you know, some fighters that he believes that he can fight. So this is a really big fight for Teofimo going in because this is a name he's always wanted ever since he got the undisputed at lightweight. And then he moved up, but he has struggled in his last two fights. So we'll just have to see how it goes going forward, and see if Teofimo can actually beat Josh Taylor because it's probably going to be his toughest fight to date if it does end up happening.
Yeah, honestly, Teofimo, he's when I first started watching like boxing, which was like when 3 years ago maybe.
Yeah, probably about 3 years ago.
The first fight that I saw of him was the Comey knockout when
Oh yeah, when
Comey
he
was on spaghetti legs.
on spaghetti legs. Yeah, yeah.
But and then since then I started like paying attention to him. And for some reason the last two fights it just hasn't looked good.
Mm-mm.
Like uncomfortable is what it looks like.
Yeah, so you'll just have to see going forward what happens with Teofimo. You know, there's stuff behind the scenes that people say that's kind of gotten to him. So it's sad to see. I mean, he's one of our favorite fighters. So hopefully he gets the fight, and then hopefully it comes out in his decision. Moving on, Canelo is expected to make his homecoming fight in Mexico on May 6th versus John Ryder. And so John Ryder was kind of being tossed around for fights here and there for the belt or for an interim belt. But now it looks like he might get that chance against Canelo, and it's a big payday. John Ryder's a little bit not older, but he's kind of nearing down his last fights because it's been a little bit up and down for him. But most recently, it's been a little bit more up. So that's how he got into this spot to fight Canelo, and both of them are being promoted by Eddie Hearn at the moment. So it kind of just makes sense on why John Ryder will get his name called for this fight. Also, we have Edgar Berlanga, a former top-ranked boxer, has signed a multi-fight deal with Matchroom, setting up a potential fight with Canelo. And Berlanga, he has been saying that he could beat Canelo, kind of like in his press conferences and stuff. And he's had big fights. Well, not really big fights, but big fights to where he's knocked out his opponent in the first round. I think it was like a 16 fight streak, and his coaches would always tell him, "Man, you need the rounds, you need the rounds." And so Top Rank was really pushing him, but then all of a sudden, Berlanga's fights have kind of steadily declined because he struggled in those tougher opponents. And I want to say his last 3 fights have gone to decision and not ended in knockout, which is good for a young fighter. But he's struggled in those wins, and he's really had to fight and win those. And even during one fight at Hobart, I think I had told you, I think maybe you were watching it or maybe not, I don't remember. But he ended up biting one of his opponents, and so
Yeah,
that was
you
kind
told
of a
me
bad
about
look.
it. That was a bad
Yeah,
look for him.
yeah. So now he signed with Eddie Hearn, and he might actually get that fight with Canelo if Berlanga can kind of step up in the future fights.
Yeah, it's time for Eddie Hearn to pull a goat move and get the big fight.
Yeah, yeah.
If anybody
So
can do it, it's Eddie Hearn.
yeah. Eddie Hearn, it's pretty good. And also, moving on to this weekend, we have some fights on DAZN for all the boxing fans. The first one is Leia Wood versus Mauricio Lara, and so that's a really good fight. And it's for Wood's belt. I don't remember exactly which one. I want to say it's WBA. I could be wrong, but that's a really good fight coming up. And then there's another one against Luis Neri versus Azat, and I might get this last name wrong because I've never seen this guy fight before, but Hava Hanzan, I think that's how you say it.
Hav
That's gonna be an
Hanesian, I think. I can't tell.
yeah. We're not too sure, but I've never seen that guy fight, so or heard his name. So, uh, Luis Neri is going up against him, and this is gonna be on a Golden Boy card. So that's later in the night, and those both fights are on Saturday. Moving on to some UFC news, we have UFC 284 that happened this past weekend. And in the co-main event, we had Yair Rodriguez getting the second round submission over Josh Emmett for the interim featherweight title. So this was a really big fight because Josh Emmett was coming off, I want to say, a win streak and a knockout streak as well. I could be wrong. And so he had really big punches, and he became kind of like a fan favorite. He's been on a few pay-per-views here and there. And Yair Rodriguez, he's kind of been in the UFC for a while, and he's had really good fights, and it was just a matter of time before he got his title shot. And so good to see that he got the win over Josh Emmett. And then in the main event, we had Islam Makachev. He won in a decision over Alexander Volkanovski, and this was in Australia. And so this fight had a lot of action from start to finish, but Islam was just too much for Volk. And Islam regained his lightweight title and became the pound for pound king in the UFC. And a little note, Islam is one of Khabib's guys that Khabib trains with and helps out. And so, we're starting to see like involvement of what Khabib can do with his guys that he trains with. I want to say the other guy that he has is in Bellator, and he has the belt too as well. So Khabib's doing something special out there for sure. Moving on to some MLB news. MLB season is officially here. And so this week, I think I was as of Monday or Tuesday, I'm not too sure, but the pitchers and catchers were reporting this week so they can get some throws in, some catches in for spring training and in their respective league, either uh, in Arizona or in Florida, wherever the team plays for spring training. So baseball is slowly coming upon us. We're going to have some looks at all the teams and how they develop. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the Astros come back and see if they can do, back to back World Champions or World Series wins. Sorry. Um, so yeah, it should be cool. also the MLB kept the ghost runner rule going into the new season, and so with that, there's a lot of controversy because some people like the additional runner in extra innings on second base, and some people don't. You know, I personally, I really don't. It doesn't matter to me, but uh, there has been some, you know, I guess success, if you would say, with the runner because it kind of makes the games go a little faster sometimes, and sometimes the games are just as long, because it's baseball, you never know. So we'll just see how it goes going forward. I mean, the MLB can always change it, but we'll just have to see.
I don't know. It seemed confusing because I didn't know what this was.
Yeah, they brought it during the COVID year or COVID season, and so it was just a way to make the games go faster, like I said. So they were just kind of testing out everything. They didn't have fans, so they just wanted to make it a little bit more interesting for the people staying home, So, and also I want to say they did 7 inning doubleheaders during that time as well. And so, yeah, like I said, we'll just have to see going forward what happens and how everybody responds to it.
All right, now we can move on to the NBA news, which our last podcast was, I think, the day before the trade deadline, right?
Yes, it was.
So we recorded our podcast, we go to put it out, and then we see this crazy thing happen. Kevin Durant gets traded from the Brooklyn Nets to the Phoenix Suns, which was out of
Mm-hmm.
nowhere. It made no, I did not think that would happen.
I didn't either. It happened like overnight too, right?
I think it was at like 1 a.m.
Yeah, so I was already asleep, but I remember like waking up in the morning. Wait, what? What just happened? It was almost like the Jimmy Butler trade all over again. We won't talk about that, but uh, yeah, it
And
was
the
just
thing
crazy.
that I didn't know was that this was technically a 4-team trade. So the full trade details are the Suns get Kevin Durant and TJ Warren. Then the Nets get McCall Bridges, Cam Johnson, Juan Pablo Valette, I think that's his name. Then they get 3 first-round picks from Phoenix, and then another first-round pick swap from Phoenix, and then 2 second-round picks from Milwaukee, and then a 2029 pick also from Phoenix. Then the Milwaukee Bucks get Jay Crowder out of this. Then the Pacers get George Hill, Serge Ibaka, Jordan Nwora, 3 second-round picks from Milwaukee, and cash considerations from Brooklyn. So
It's a
that
lot
was
of
a
moves.
very 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 interesting,
Complicated.
complicated trade.
Big trade. Yeah.
But the thing we have to talk about here is Kevin Durant to the Suns. Does this make them contenders? Does this make them? You think this will get them to the finals, basically?
I honestly, it's a high possibility because KD and Devin Booker, that just sounds dangerous. I mean, wow.
And then you have one of the best point guards ever passing the ball to them. Yeah, it's honestly just gonna be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And Devin Booker and KD might be one of the best scoring duos in the league. I feel like the only thing that I was upset about with this trade was the Suns. The Suns giving up on McCall Bridges and Cam Johnson, who are two very solid players on their team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And McCall Bridges said that he didn't even know he was traded till I think Damian Lee like FaceTimed him and was like, oh, I'm so sorry, da 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 da. It's a business, da da da. And then McCall Bridges is like, what the hell are you talking about? And he goes, bro, you were traded to the Nets for Kevin Durant. And then he goes on Twitter and tweets, oh my God, LOL. Which is pretty funny to me. He was like, oh my God.
Yeah. He was just like all shocked, like, what do I do now?
He was like, wait a minute, hold on. When did this happen?
Yeah, it's gonna be like that meme meme video, I guess, that everybody uses where the Jets players like just there punching in the numbers. Well, guess I can't go today.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I guess they cut me.
Yeah.
Um, I thought you were thinking, hold up, wait a minute. Something ain't
Oh
right.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just a weird situation, and TJ Warren was just in the trade for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's gonna be a real. The West is looking scary now, basically.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Another trade that happened that hurts us in our hearts as Spurs fans. The Spurs ended up trading Jakob Poeltl to the Raptors. Back to the Raptors, technically.
Yeah, technically, yeah.
For Kem Birch, a first round pick in 2024, and then 2 second round picks. And honestly, this is a really good trade for us. For the Spurs, just stock up on draft picks and then get rid of somebody who is going to want a big contract and probably
And
makes our
just
team a lot better.
and just continue the rebuild pretty much.
It's the rebuild. The rebuild is on.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like the storyline of Jakob getting to go back to the Raptors and see what he can do, and I think it's going to be fun for him.
Yeah, him in his debut, I think he scored what, 6 points?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it's not much of an impact just yet. I mean, 6 points does matter in some games, for his size and his position, but still, it's like, what a comeback. 6 points.
uh, Actually, apparently he had a 30-point game on Valentine's Day against Orlando.
Did you say 30-point game?
Yes, he dropped 39 and 2 assists. Was 15 of
Wow.
17 shooting and played for 37 minutes.
See, that's the welcome
Now
back we
that's
needed.
that's what we wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. I did not
That's
expect that.
crazy.
I went to just go see
No,
what he was
yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
6, 6, and 30. That was 6 points in the first game, 6 points in the second game, then 30 points in the third game.
That's wild.
He's warmed up. Oh man, that's wild. But also with the Spurs did make another trade at the deadline. It ended up being Josh Richardson to the Pelicans for Devontae Graham and I think like 3 or 4 second rounders for some reason.
Like 28? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Second rounders were flying in this trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
But Devontae Graham in his debut as a Spur, it was like the next day after the deadline, scores a big 31, I think off the bench. Of course
Was
we
he off
lost
the
the game.
bench?
I think he was. But of
Yeah.
course the Spurs lose the game because that's what the
Yeah.
Spurs do.
Tanking.
Yeah, we're tanking for Wembanyama, boys. But it was really good to see Devontae Graham score big points because he wasn't getting many opportunities in New Orleans. So him coming to our young team is probably a really good thing for him.
Yeah.
Like he could probably be like a main scorer.
Yeah, he could
Uh,
definitely help going forward for sure.
yeah, and if anything, he's by the time we are really good, like good again, or have a chance to be good again, he might just be a veteran on the team.
One of those star players,
Yeah.
maybe. Who knows?
Or just a solid starter, or like a solid
Yeah,
six
yeah.
man. We
Mm-hmm.
always need something like that.
Yeah. Ever since, Patricia Mills left. I mean, sorry, Patty Mills left.
Patricia Mills.
Patricia
Bro, that was
Mills left.
wild.
Yeah, I miss that guy. I still have his jersey in my closet now that I think about it.
Yeah, because Patty
Yeah.
Mills is one of the goats of that 2014 team.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's all that I could think of right now that was important or like that sits in my mind for NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could talk about. I think yesterday or the day before there was the Mavericks and the Timberwolves, and for some reason Luka and Kyrie, neither one of them could get off a shot at the end. Like at the end of the game, they just playing hot potato, trying to see if somebody can get a shot off, and they just couldn't, and they end up losing the game. And I hope that doesn't happen often, but I feel like they're both like, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball. And it's gonna be a little rough for them to like be able to trust another person to shoot that last shot. Because I think that's why Kyrie was like trying to leave. He's like, oh, they just always want KD to shoot it. And that's why Kyrie wanted to leave. Probably the Celtics too, because at that point they were like, just let Jason Tatum shoot it. It was like rookie Jason Tatum, right? I think.
Yeah, like second year.
Yeah. I just thought that was interesting and like it looked funny because they were just throwing the ball back and forth with like 5 seconds left.
Hmm.
One, I think the defenders were like, is either Jaden or Jalen McDaniels because there's two and I get them confused. They're on different teams, but I get confused. Whichever one is on the Timberwolves, and it was Anthony Edwards, and they were defending, and they were like on them, like really, really defending. But besides that, that's all I could really think about for NBA right now. We'll probably focus on it more at like in the next few weeks because NFL's over and or at least nothing big happens until free agency ish. So yeah, we'll probably focus on NBA a lot more next week. But speaking of NFL, we can move on to our NFL section of the podcast. Um, Big coaching news, which I didn't expect to have at this point. Colts hire Shane Steichen, I believe that's how you pronounce his name.
I think
From
so.
He was the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. I think I like this better than Jeff Saturday. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's better than Jeff Saturday. I mean, yeah, you can argue, man, give him a chance, but it's like, the chance he got wasn't very, very solid.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that was the decision that was made. Like Jeff Saturday, not Shane Steichen. I don't know
Yeah,
if Shane would be good as a head coach because I'm gonna be honest, I don't know much about Shane.
yeah, and from watching the Eagles games, like being a Cowboys fan, see them twice a year, um, if not more in the playoffs if we play them. Um, or even just like seeing the local games, like whenever the Cowboys had to buy, normally they show the closest team, quote unquote, but that just really means like the teams in your division. And so the Eagles would be on TV, and I mean, it seemed like most of their offensive plays. That's if I think Shane was calling the plays, but I'm pretty sure he was. And so it seemed like everything was going their way because I mean, look at how far they got. They got to the Super Bowl. And so, it could be good, but you just have to build around it. So if you have the coach, then you got to get the team. and obviously they're trying to figure out their quarterback situation. And it was actually news yesterday, the day before, that the Colts are trying to get Bryce Young in the draft.
Ooh.
And so if they get him, I mean, that could be solid because honestly, that's probably like a well-rounded quarterback in the draft, I would say. So, and coming from Alabama, the quarterbacks are pretty decent. I mean, not everyone, has played great, but look at what happened with Jalen Hurts. Pretty great. So,
Your favorite quarterback, Tua.
yeah, or Tua, yeah. I mean, it's
He
been
played.
pretty decent.
He had a solid beginning of the year.
Yeah, he's
Then
been
he got some
decent. So,
CTE, so
yeah. So then, this, and then there's AJ McCarron, but like nobody talks about the guy. He's in the XFL now, I think.
Dude, I
So
forgot about AJ McCarron.
everybody forgets about AJ McCarron.
He was like
And
so good in college.
He was so good in college, like unbelievably great, man. It's like Tebow, man. It's like, bruh. But yeah,
Tebow
so
had a good year at least.
well, yeah, that's true.
more
So
like Johnny Manziel. That's what we're talking about here.
yeah. More like it, yeah. So, anyways, we'll just have to see what happens and how they build around it.
Yeah, I think we'll know more about if it'll work out well when we figure out who their quarterback is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So either after free agency, like the big free agency signings, or the draft, we'll see what happens because there's a name that I have been hearing a little bit, and it's Derek Carr, who just officially parted ways with the Raiders because he said that he didn't want to get traded, but he just wanted to be released. And they informed him, I think yesterday, right? That they released him
Yeah, I
to
want to
be a
say it
free
was
agent. Yeah.
yesterday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is
So
probably good for Carr. He gets to have a fresh start somewhere, and maybe he can pull it together, or pull. He can probably be put on a team that just needs a decent quarterback
mm-hmm.
and do really good. But I think Vegas is cursed. The Las Vegas
Yeah.
Raiders are cursed.
Yeah.
They start off looking really good in the first half of the season, and in the second half of the season, for some reason, they shit the bed. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me because they could have very, very good players. But
Yeah, I mean,
somebody gets hurt, somebody gets arrested, somebody. Like, you know what I
yeah, I mean,
mean?
look at Devontae Adams. So, Carr and Adams, they played in college, and it's like they had that thing going, and it's like, oh yeah, they actually might have a chance. One of the top receivers, if not the top receiver in the league right now. And then he goes to Vegas, and what happens? Like it just
The thing is, he didn't even. It looked bad. His stats were really good, but it just looked
wouldn't.
bad.
Well, no, yeah, because don't get me wrong, I had him on fantasy football, and he saved me on some games.
Dude,
You know,
he really
so
did save
it's
you.
yeah. So it's like on paper he looked good, but when you're watching it, it's like, was he really good? But again, I mean, it could be the quarterback thing, and then so now that the Raiders have let Carr go, now you're hearing another name pop up like Aaron Rodgers, right? And so it's like, is Rodgers going to retire? Is he going to go to the Raiders? Is he going to go to the Jets? Or is there like another team, like maybe the Panthers? Who knows? You know?
Yeah, that Aaron Rodgers situation. Honestly, there's only two places that he would end up besides the Packers, in my head. It would either be the Jets, who are willing to give up fucking everything.
Seems like everything. Mm-hmm.
They're like, here, take my money.
Yeah, take Sauce
or
Gardner.
or he or he would end up with the Raiders to reunite with Devontae and maybe break the Raiders curse and get to the playoffs and actually do something.
Probably not. Probably not.
I'm just saying that's the two options that are in my head as a Packers fan and what I've heard. But We never know. He has to go through his what is it? His darkness retreat or something.
Yeah, his dark room for like how long?
Like 4
Forever.
days.
Yeah. You start seeing things, man. You could like
Honestly, him on the Pat McAfee show, what was it, yesterday, right? Tuesdays? He
on
was talking
Tuesdays.
he was talking
Hmm.
about like Adam Schefter and all those guys, right? He was like, they're good at their
Yeah.
job, but they don't know anything about me. They don't know shit about me. And it's like they said they have somebody in my close personal circle tell them something. If they were telling you something, they weren't in my close circle. And I was like, bruh, why are you so angry? You're doing their job.
It's funny.
But yeah, and then he
Except for
was
Peter
like,
Schrager. Except for Peter
oh,
Schrager.
I don't know. I don't even know what it is about Peter Schrager that I don't like.
Yeah.
Maybe he's ugly. I don't know.
Poor guy.
I don't know, cause like the way he talks too, like it upsets me for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. When he did this pregame Super Bowl coverage, I was like, yeah,
I'm just gonna
uh,
go get a
I'm just
sandwich.
gonna,
I'm gonna
I'm
go
just
eat
gonna
my
go
wings.
watch. I'm gonna go watch women swimming or something. I don't
I'm
know.
gonna go watch the Puppy Bowl.
You're right.
Well, speaking of the Super Bowl, now we can go right into the Super Bowl winner was the Kansas City Chiefs.
Hmm.
It was actually a really good game.
It was a really good game for yeah. Both teams gave it all, but it's like I had explained in the podcast from last week. You have the Eagles being the best all around team, and then you have the Chiefs where it's like they're not the best all around team, but they have the experience of being in the Super Bowl and in these closer games, and just a little bit more experience overall. And it showed because that's what helped them towards the end of the game.
Yeah, honestly, I think the Chiefs won this just like you said, just because of experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Eagles team is still a lot of them are still young or early in their career. There are some that were there for the last Super Bowl, but those people played their hearts out, and the all the young guys played their hearts out, and it just was a really fun game to watch. Like Jalen Hurts looked really good. Like that Hail Mary basically to AJ Brown in the end zone was
Mm-hmm.
probably my favorite play of the whole Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was really good, and it's actually funny that you mentioned that because remember how I want to say it was either in the scouting or in the pre-draft or even just the draft in general, how people were saying that Jalen Hurts can't throw like that
Yeah.
far, or
Well,
he like underthrows.
I was like, did you see the last play of the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I was like, hit
Maybe they were right.
rewind, maybe.
Maybe they were right.
Yeah,
But no,
hit a little
he
rewind.
was not 100% with his throwing shoulder. So
Oh no, yeah, and he knew he had to play at 100% or 110%, and he did, and the game was close. What was it, by 3 points?
yeah, I think it was a field goal.
Yeah, it was a field goal because and so you can't. I feel like the Eagles can't be mad at themselves. Their fans shouldn't be mad either because they
uh,
did all they could.
Eagles fans are just crazy. They're mad at everything.
Oh no, they're crazy, but it's yeah.
I heard someone say that no matter what happens, the Eagles fans are rioting in Philadelphia.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Like they were greasing the light poles.
Yeah, it's just like when the Phillies were in the World Series against the Astros. I mean, you should see some of the behind the scenes, like before and after the game. It was crazy.
Like all I'm saying
All,
is
all,
I don't want to
all
see
hell broke
any
loose.
behind the scenes of anything.
Yeah, yeah.
But the big story of the Super Bowl to me was Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP on basically one leg.
Well, you want to know what else was kind of the big news too, or
What?
like the biggest thing?
What?
He got a custom WWE belt.
That was sick, dude. I saw that when I was watching Raw the next day.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't know, it was so cool. But like, do you know who started like the whole WWE belt in the MVP thing, right?
No, actually, I don't.
It was Aaron Rodgers because you remember he always did the belt celebration,
Oh, yeah. What is it called? Uh,
the discount double check.
let's go double check. Yeah,
The
yeah,
discount double check, dude. I don't know. I hate that it's called that.
yeah. And it's like, why? It has nothing to do with anything, you know? Well, I mean, it kind of does, but you know.
Yeah. I think when he won MVP in the 2011 Super Bowl, I think that's when it was.
Man, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, when he won that Super Bowl, the I think he got MVP, and then somebody brought him out like the world heavyweight title. I think so, because there's that iconic picture of him and Clay Matthews with the and he has the belt over his shoulder.
Of course, it's Clay Matthews.
Yeah, dude, Clay Matthews is a goat.
Yeah, he was on Pitch Perfect.
Yeah, I
What,
was
three,
like, you know, he's a goat if he's in
two?
Pitch Perfect too. Him
Yeah,
and David Bakhtiari,
yeah.
and they were singing. Great singing voices, even though we know for goddamn sure it wasn't them.
It's like, yeah, that wasn't them.
uh, so there are a lot of people asking this. Where did the Eagles like go from here after losing the Super Bowl and then losing their offensive coordinator to the Colts? And I think their defensive coordinator got signed as a head coach somewhere too. I don't
Yeah.
remember where. I think it was probably like the Cardinals. That makes sense. Hold on.
Hmm.
I want to see. I want to see.
Pull it up. Pull it up. Pull it up. Let's see.
Yeah, yeah. I'm pulling it up. But what do you think they do like going into the draft
I
and
mean,
and
I
the
think,
off season?
yeah, I think it depends on who leaves, like, player wise. So, like, it depends on contracts because we're not Eagles fans, so we really don't know, like, who's a free agent, who's this, who's that. So, first, it starts off with who leaves. You have your veterans. Like you and I were talking before this, we had some players that were in the Super Bowl before. So it's like, are they going to retire? Are they going to, was this their last ride? Who knows? So I think it starts from there. And so whoever leaves, you just kind of fill in those little holes and then have the next guy come up at that point. And then, you find yourself a solid offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator if you can find uh, one that would kind of fit that role. Because, the Eagles are pretty spot on this season. So you'll just have to find someone that kind of fits the role and kind of likes the way Jalen Hurts likes to play. You know, really just go from there pretty much.
Yeah, I think they have all the pieces that they need. They're probably like a little bit better tight end away from a Super Bowl,
Yeah, you're right.
or like a better safety away from like something like that.
Yeah, just like little things, like I said, like it just depends. Just kind of find backups for the backups. Who knows?
And I was right. Their defensive coordinator signed as the head coach to the Cardinals. So yeah, that'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm. No, he was on one bird team and then he went to another bird team. Lots of birds going on.
Yeah, honestly, I think they will be back up there next year, but I think a lot of the teams that are going to be developed another year, it's going to be hard for them to win the NFC again.
Oh yeah.
Another big thing that isn't really NFL, but it is football related. Officially starting this weekend, the XFL 3.0.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope that it works out this time.
Yeah, third time's a charm, right? That's what they always
Yeah,
say.
yeah,
Football.
yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%.
But I will say that this time around, it's not backed by the WWE or someone tied to the. Well, I guess
I
technically,
was like,
the Rock.
The
Technically,
Rock
the
is
Rock is tied
tied.
to. But you know what I mean, like it's not the business mindset of the WWE.
Yeah.
So I think that's a plus. And then you have your commissioner being The Rock's, I think, former wife, right? That's who it is.
Oh,
Danny Garcia.
I was like, I don't know that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then you have, obviously the name like Dwayne The Rock Johnson. So there's a lot of investors coming in. There's a lot of people, that are higher up, I guess, in the business world that actually want to see this succeed because, everybody likes The Rock. Or for the most part, everybody likes The Rock. I'm sure there's people that don't. But it's just one of those household names that people want to be a part of. And so I think they're really funding into this league and kind of trying to bring it, you know, to a higher pedestal. And so that way it's a different opportunity for people coming out of college or, just walk ons or just whatever, So I think it's exciting to see. And so, there's also like there's a few teams. I think there was 8 teams, right?
I
Something
think
like that.
so.
And so they changed a few of them around, and there's actually a new one here in San Antonio. So that's really cool that we have one here at the Alamo Dome, and just to have the Alamo Dome used because I think they only really use it for high school playoffs, and then they use it for UTSA games. So that's in the fall time, and so now that you have it in the spring, it's actually being used other than for like boxing or concerts. So it's definitely going to be cool going forward.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. I think it'll also be like a really good developmental league for the NFL.
Right.
You got anything else about the NFL? Anything you thinking of?
No.
All right, we can move on to our favorite section, the Mean Green section. Um, this is a different thing that we don't normally talk about. Mean Green softball
Oh
starts the
yeah.
preseason rankings at 22 in the country. I think now we're like right out of the top 25 and we're getting a bunch of votes. I think we're like the last one out basically.
Yeah. So they'll probably just need like a few wins here and there because like the way like baseball and softball starts in college, they do like little mini tournaments, just kind of like basketball. And so if they could get out of one of those, maybe one or two tournaments, because it usually happens like during the week. So it's like one maybe beginning of the week and at the end of the week is another, or vice versa. Or there's just one. Who really knows? But if they happen to come out with those wins, then yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll be in the top 25 for sure.
Yeah, I think our softball team has a really good chance of being up there cuz I'm pretty sure we went pretty far in the tournament last year, right?
Mm, that I'm not too sure of. I don't remember. I want
Like
to
I'm
say
pretty
we,
sure we got like 2 or 3 rounds in.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, well, I think it'll be fun, interesting. Another now we go back to our regularly scheduled program, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, Mean Green basketball. We are number 47 in the net rankings as of today, I believe. Yeah, as of today, we are 47 in the net rankings, which honestly looks really good for us. Which means that like I think if we can get into the top 40 net rankings, I think we could somehow get a bid for the tournament.
Yeah.
It'll be rough. We have to win out basically and win
Win the
a lot of
conference.
games in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we have to be second place in our tournament, first or second place to get into the tournament. And that's a big if we lose the conference tournament. I don't know. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the end of the season like comes down.
Mm-hmm.
We have been playing pretty good recently. We got a big win last week against UAB, which went into 2 overtimes. Honestly, that game was super, super fun, super, super stressful. The Super Pit was freaking out the whole time.
Yeah, I think even I was texting you probably a little bit before the end of the regular, well, I guess regulation, and in that last like probably 4 minutes of the second half, like this is really nervous, like nerve wracking. I'm really nervous. I think I'm shaking, and you're like I'm shaking too. And so it was like funny. But yeah, it was an exciting game to watch, and for us to come out with the win and 2 overtimes is just insane to see. And it just proves that with all that pressure, being at home and then playing a really solid team in UAB, we can get the win in these bigger games.
Yeah, this game was really a really good game by Tyler Perry, of course.
Mm-hmm. He's
He
starting
had
to show up now.
28 points. Yes, 28 points. And our second leading scorer was two people tied for with 15 points actually. Abu Usman stepping up, staying in the game with only one foul finally. He's been in
Mm,
foul trouble like the last 3
Like
weeks.
like every game.
And Kai Hunsberry just playing solid, 15 points, all around player, great defender. It's just really fun to watch. And Reuben Jones off the bench actually had 12 points and 7 rebounds. 2 of 3 from 3. Wow, that's actually really good for Reuben. Yeah, our defense holds Jelly Walker to 20. In a double overtime game, we come out with the 82-79 win. Really, really, really fun game to watch, honestly. And then this last Saturday, I believe. Yes. UNT takes an easy win against Charlotte. Really just cruised past them. It was a 67-43 win. Leading scorer was Abu Usman, actually. Abu Usman with 14 points. I guess just bullying in the paint. Then you had Tyree Eady with 10 points. Really good game for him. That's probably, I think, one of the highest that he's scored recently. Tyler Perry had 12. He was 4 or 5 from 3. All of his points were from 3-point land. And Reuben Jones with a nice 13. Just an all around performance by the team.
Yeah, just really good, solid performance, and yeah, it was a pretty easy win. I mean, uh, no disrespect to Charlotte at all, but they haven't been the best team in the conference this year, and so it was kind of expected for us to win. But overall, it's a good team, or not a good team, but a good team effort and just all around good play. So that way, it can give us more confidence going into the conference tournament.
Yeah, UNT still top 2 in defense. The only person that gives up less points per game than us or the only team is Houston. They give up 55 points per game flat. We give up 55.6. So we're super close to being the number 1 defense in the country again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure we are still the slowest team in pace
Oh
in
yeah,
all of
probably,
college.
probably.
But to add on about the whole net rankings thing, I'm pretty sure we have to win games by bigger margins to get higher up. So hopefully we can get big wins in the last few games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Like who do we play the last few games of the season? This is a real question here. We play Louisiana Tech on Thursday, which is tomorrow. We play UTEP on Saturday. Next Thursday we play Charlotte again. Then the Thursday after that we play Middle Tennessee. And then the Saturday after that, which is March 3rd. Or no, March 4th, sorry. We play Western Kentucky. So I think we can win all those games, not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's looking pretty good for us. Hopefully we get some big wins and somehow make it into that tournament. All right, you got anything else?
Mm.
All right, guys. If you like the podcast, please like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think about all the topics. If you have anything that you want us to talk about next time, please put it in the comments. I'm gonna link the TikTok too because we post on TikTok all little short clips from this. And I was your host, Hobart, and this is my co-host.
Hunter.
And we'll see you next time.
Yep. See ya.